What happened? What happened? Honestly, what happened? Like, this thing came and went so fast. I don't hear anything about it anymore. These Vision Pros, like, the talk about it is so silent. I don't hear anything. We need to get to the bottom of this, bro. And I have my assumptions as to what I think happened. I think it was priced too high. I think they priced themselves out of business with that and caused it to fail. But it's still baffling to me that this thing is not even being talked about. This video here, man, is the catastrophic failure of the Vision Pros. Let's check it out.
The Vision Pro was gonna be the new iPhone. It was Tim Cook's master plan to take control of the world and begin a new era of virtual reality. Everybody was talking about it, buying in, excited to see what this future technological revolution would look like. But then fast forward a year and Apple has admitted the entire thing was a giant failure, with the company now planning to completely discontinue the product. So how could this even happen? What went so horribly wrong? And why does nobody care about the Vision Pro anymore? Well, it quickly became apparent that once the novelty of the product wore off, it turned out that this new feature was just a fast from the get-go.
Now I don't use it every day anymore, and there's just not that many apps. Every time I see a new article about a couple new apps that came out, I would read that and be like, is there something else I can do? Because right now, not a lot.
Now, as we all know, Apple has always marketed itself as a luxury brand. It targets customers who are willing to spend more on high-quality, beautifully crafted and fashionable products. And they're usually worth it, be it the stylish iPhone, the portable iPad, or the stunning MacBook. Apple has established itself as a brand that offers devices that integrate advanced technology with a satisfying user interface, all pioneered by Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs. All of this together justified a premium price tag and assured customers that what they were paying for was completely worth it. But
$3,500. $3,500, bro. We already complaining about the iPhone prices, and then you throw something like this at us that even if it had limited apps, if you'd have probably priced it lower, I feel like more people would have stuck it out with you. Would have held it down for Apple and been like, I know more is coming soon, so I'm making the most out of it. But the fact that you have limited apps and the prices up here, yeah, bro. Nobody's gonna stand behind your product at that point.
But unfortunately for Apple users, the functionality and design of the Vision Pro was never worth the cost. And that's exactly why those who bought the headset felt justifiably let down. The hefty price tag of $3,499 should have guaranteed that the Vision Pro would outdo most of their other products. When you raise the bar, you have a standard to meet. However, it seemed Apple had forgotten to see if the product met the standards its consumers expected, especially compared to much cheaper versions like the Meta Quest and the new Ray-Ban Meta glasses. And this oversight had a much more damaging effect than they ever expected. The price of the Vision Pro could buy you a 16-inch M3 Max MacBook Pro with 36GB of RAM and 1TB of storage. The MacBook would not only provide 10 times more features, but it will last you a lifetime and provide you with everything you need. There's no comparison. A MacBook just wins hands down in practicality, features, and specs. And if you gave most people the option, they would choose the MacBook. Whereas the Vision Pro just seems like more of a gimmick these days. And although the MacBook can't match the Vision Pro's capabilities, the Vision Pro's many shortcomings are leading to rumors that Apple will discontinue the product because nobody seems to really be buying it. And whilst it is a hefty price tag, the pricing just doesn't match the features here. There were only about 12 compatible apps compared to the 3,000 apps on the iPad release in April 2010. Of the 12 compatible apps, it did not feature Netflix or even Spotify, which meant right off the bat it had limited to no means of access to the most popular platforms. And the main thing with all of this augmented virtual reality stuff is that you're supposed to be hooked in. You never want to leave. You never want to escape the universe you find yourself in. It's supposed to be the ultimate feeling of dopamine, where everything you look, you're constantly wired in, always stimulated, playing games while you walk on the street, being in the cinema while you're on an aeroplane. This was the whole point of the Vision Pro, and it's why we made several videos talking about how this was such a bad idea to begin with. But as there's no real compatible apps, it means right off the bat, the Vision Pro had limited to no means of access to the most popular platforms, which leaves you with kind of just nothing. Only a select few apps that's almost guaranteed to leave a sense of anticlimax. I mean, the pricing's bad enough, and the fact that there's not even many reasons to be in this virtual world for long, with barely any overstimulation, Combined with the fact that the Vision Pro only has 2 hours of battery life, it just feels like Apple wanted this product to fail. The battery is attached to the device and not only presents itself in a flimsy, unstable manner, but also contributes to its weight. The position and size of the battery gives the impression that not much thought went into this. It hangs so awkwardly, and if anyone turns too fast, you might be met with some battery bashing. Yes, you can put it in your pocket, but accidentally sitting on it might be an expensive lesson. It should have been made much more sturdy fitting on the device, and you'd think that despite all of these issues, Apple would at least try to ensure that the headsets actually sit on people's faces properly, but they didn't even do that right. Initially, the Vision Pro was meant to be released with a solo knit band with an adjustable dial that would offer a great fit and distribute weight evenly, but they opted for the dual loop band, which doesn't cover your head properly or even distribute the weight. Vision Pros weigh about 600 to 650 grams, which users start to feel under the rise after wearing the headset for a short time.
Okay, now I'm feeling like it's rushed. It was rushed. It was like we were demanding for it. We were calling for some type of glasses, but that's because y'all kept like throwing it out there and kept saying that it was coming, and y'all kept getting us hyped for it. If you never said anything, we would have never been hyped for it. But y'all slowly created this demand for a product that y'all knew wasn't ready for us. Now, the good thing about it in all of this, there is some good, because it's Apple. If they discontinue it, go back to the lab, tweak it, get a few more, way more apps on it, make it a little less bulky on the face and more comfortable. Apple users aren't going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, they'll still be around. So if you take it off, bring it back, reintroduce it to us, they'll be right here to buy at a better price point though. People will still buy it. So that's the good out of all this for Apple, at least.
Of course, this will lead to bruising and pain if not lifted and shifted to ease the discomfort. The headband is all around you, and it's just more of a bother rather than a benefit. Now, it is actually possible to buy the original solo knit band Apple designed, but who wants to pour more money into a product that already cost a small fortune? It's crazy the design team never took the comfort of the product into account in the cost. It just feels like Apple is trying to get as much money as possible at the expense of its consumers. And at the same time, this is far from the experience machine. It's ultimately just a boring augmented reality that there's not much even to do there anyway. All of this for reportedly produced headaches, migraines, and some neck pain. It just doesn't seem like there's any practical use for this in the long term. It seems more like a toy for rich people to buy that after a week they would never use again. But before we continue, I want to tell you about our video sponsor. You start with in addition to multi-point connectivity, videos are blue. At the same time, just 10. This is why I use my fence, and with a battery of 2 hours, Moon YT for up to 30% off site-wide. And with a battery of 2 hours, it seems like long-term use was never even possible. You can watch movies in 2D, but let's face it, most great movies are longer than 2 hours. A lot of users even reported some motion sickness from the visuals. If you intend to do your work with the Vision Pro, it takes time to get used to all the features. 2 hours at a time, of course. And once you get into the swing of things, you will need a 1.5 hour break every 2 hours to recharge the battery. You could buy another battery at an extra cost and keep swapping them out, but it just seems so impractical for long-term use. And who wants to carry another battery around? And even if you did buy the Vision Pro, you have to do a personalized facial scan to see which of the 28 different light seals work for the new Vision Pro owner. If this isn't done, it can impact the comfort level and the amount of light leaks that can interfere with eye tracking. Now, the obvious problem here is that it indicates that the Vision Pro is set up for one user only. Guests can use it, but they have very limited access, which could disrupt the settings. And while the Vision Pro does cater to FaceTime, a call won't connect to the headset automatically. It shows that the team overthought the practical uses and didn't even bother with certain features, FaceTime being one of the most critical. However, the design may be intimidating to use casually because of its exorbitant cost and fragility. Although the magnetic light blocking attachment is high quality, its general fragility raises concerns. If the Vision Pro is used during activities or handled by someone unfamiliar with its parts, it poses a high risk. People walk into walls and doors distracted by the images, and one wrong move can damage the parts, and this would be an insanely costly repair. The keyboard also doesn't support alternative languages, so if you're not an English speaker or perhaps you want to change to your native language, this isn't actually an option on the Vision Pro. Now, to be fair, this is probably why the Vision Pro isn't sold everywhere in the world, so the chances are most people don't even have the option to buy one. However, Apple does sell the Vision Pro in Japan, China, Hong Kong, and Singapore. The headset not catering to the language is a huge oversight. These basic fundamental functions were left off, and for the price, it just seems so unjust. As when it comes to Apple, consumers never expect them to cut corners, but unfortunately Tim Cook's new Vision Pro, the thing that was supposed to be the new iPhone, couldn't even provide a good experience with the audio without the users having to buy another product. While it does deliver good sound, it fails to block background noise. To get a better experience, one would need to add a set of Apple's newest versions of AirPods, another big expense to a better product that should have been factored in originally. And of course, the Vision Pro's only
So wait, I gotta have the Vision Pros on and I gotta have AirPods on? That's just too much, bro. Come on now. That's way too much. Again, at that price point, I'm gonna keep going back to that. At that price point, I shouldn't have to do all of this. And then to double back to the apps and everything and the battery, like if I'm using certain apps and they saying you got a 2-hour lifespan, I wonder if it's shorter depending on what apps you're using. Like, yeah, this seems sloppy, bro. This doesn't seem like it was thought out much at all. Did they even sit down at like a round table or anything and discuss this thing, throw different things, poke holes in it or anything? It don't seem like it.
Compatible with other Apple products, which might be fine if you're already an Apple user. However, if this is your first Apple product, you'll inevitably face challenges and disappointments. Even ordering the Vision Pro online can only be done via an Apple device unless you physically buy the product yourself from the Apple Store. And on top of that, there's also no USB to a computer, which again seems like a huge oversight since most of us invariably need to transfer data at some point. In fact, that's one of the main selling points in all of the adverts. Even when connecting it to the MacBook, the AirDrop will stop working as soon as you remove the Vision Pro, which means you just keep it on your face until the task is completed. Even the eye tracking has issues. Selecting icons and hyperlinks can be tricky, and if incorrectly applied, it's such a frustrating experience. If you move the window up, you ironically roll your eyes as you go too far for what the device can cater to. If the Vision Pro is not fitted correctly, you can also reduce the device's calibration. Resetting the calibration requires way too many steps, and Apple didn't factor quick fixes into the Vision Pro's visual aids, which is why it's no wonder that it seems like Apple is going to discontinue the Vision Pro completely, as it's just such a subpar product, and yet it's basically their most expensive product. All for a bulky, uncomfortable, not easy to use, augmented reality machine that's almost 10 times the product of their competitor the Meta Quest. But at least you can wear it while traveling, right? You can watch movies, go into different universes, plug in and drop out. That was the main point of the Vision Pro. It was the main issue of our concerns in our previous videos on the product, that it's the ultimate distraction machine. And yet the Vision Pro doesn't even seem practical for traveling, one of the key selling points in the advert, as you can't put the Vision Pro in your travel bag and think it will be safely tucked in. In reality, it just becomes an awkward and inconvenient experience, and the components are so fragile and not worth the risk of breaking in your travel bag. But also, who wants to wear the Vision Pro in public? There are a bunch of videos and TikToks going viral, showing people with their Vision Pros plugged into a different world while they were on public transport, and yet suddenly it seems like these videos have completely stopped. If you go outside, you almost see nobody wearing it anymore. People wore it for a very brief time as almost a gimmick, but now it seems to be completely nowhere. Undoubtedly because you stick out like a sore thumb in the public eye, and almost seem like a complete weirdo who needs to be overstimulated at all times. And of course, compared to Meta's Ray-Ban glasses, you just draw so much attention to yourself. This isn't like wearing a pair of glasses. At least with Meta's Ray-Ban glasses, it's almost indistinguishable from normal glasses. And this is the key issue that Apple is facing right now. The Vision Pro stepped into the virtual reality and augmented reality sector already under Meta's dominance. Meta's Quest range has secured a position with budget-friendly and user-friendly gadgets. The Vision Pro's emphasis on premium attributes isolated the general user base, pitting it against significantly more economical and user-friendly alternatives. And customers started dropping their Vision Pro and selling it once they realized there was really nothing they could even do with it. So what
all Apple can say is that their Vision Pros look better than the ones that I just saw of Meta's now. Meta's make you look kind of like an alien for real with the way that front interface. Like, I don't like that at all. Yeah, Apple's look way better, but I guess I'm gonna have to look into Meta's. It seems more reasonable with the pricing, and I don't know. I'm gonna look into it though.
What does Apple have to say about this? Well, Apple first projected that about 800,000 Vision Pros would sell out within a year. However, the low production yields and supply chain issues meant Apple could not even meet its own projections. By the time they'd sorted out these issues, the Vision Pro didn't quite have the same sway on buyers, and most people had already moved on from the gimmick. And the customers that did buy it continued to complain, which led Apple to drop their projections to 400,000. One employee said they had suspended production of the Vision Pro components in May, and now production is expected to come to a complete stop by the end of November in 2024. CEO Tim Cook said that not everyone would take the new Apple innovation into their hearts, and he further explained that it was more of an early adopter product, meaning it was aimed at customers who wanted technology ahead of its time. And while this hasn't slowed Apple down, they are now deciding to hold off on the second generation of the model for a year, as they intend to release a cheaper, more advanced model in 2027, and even aim to produce computer contacts in 2030. But it's almost a good thing that this doesn't work, as a dystopian future of everyone plugged in, overstimulated all the time, never turning it off in their own little isolated universe, seemed like a nightmare Black Mirror situation that was dawning on all of us. As if you think you're already addicted to your phone, constantly scrolling and watching videos, can you even imagine how addicted you would be with your own perfect universe created around your own tastes? And it seems like the failure of the Vision Pro shows that the public generally rejects this idea.
All right, so I told y'all I wanted to compare Meta's AR glasses and all of that stuff like that. So let's check it out.
You're seeing like a scoreboard above the basket that says who has the most points and then the leaderboard.
Well, one of the things that's really cool about this lens is that it's connected together. It's a really fun way to make playing basketball more fun, and soon there'll be an augmented reality coach as well, so you can improve your game on the court.
We're finally getting a glimpse of new high-tech hardware that's been in the works for years, which tech giants say could be the next generation of computing.
Give me a smoothie recipe with these ingredients, please.
Meta and Snap are the first major players to unveil augmented reality, or AR, prototypes.
This is Orion, our first fully functioning prototype, and if I do say so, the most advanced glasses the world has ever seen.
Today, we're introducing the 5th generation of spectacles.
Building high-tech features into glasses isn't a new idea. Snap and Meta have both been investing in tech-enabled smart glasses for years. But these new products make a technological leap with fully holographic overlays.
With Orion, we are getting closer to achieving the dream of Reality Labs. To create the next major computing platform that delivers a deep sense of presence like you are right there with another person. This is where we are going.
Meta has poured more than $63 billion over the last decade into its AR and VR division, Reality Labs, which has developed its VR headsets and metaverse experiences, along with launching Ray-Ban smart glasses that feature an AI assistant. The company says demand for the glasses has been huge. But while Snap and Meta have debuted AR prototypes, they are still years away from bringing down the costs to a point where these products could be sold to consumers. And they're even further away from being cheap enough to go mainstream. But Meta and Snap see huge opportunity.
This is a major leap forward for technology. It's a big step forward for our sort of goal to help define the next generation of computing.
We think we're at a bit of a watershed moment. People are getting fed up with their screens and the way that they make them feel, and developers are feeling frustrated about developing for the smartphone platform. So I think we're at a unique moment where both consumers and developers are really ready for something new.
Now, right offhand, one thing I can see is like the bulkiness over the ear. It's kind of like when you put your glasses on and they go behind the ear and stuff like that. That doesn't look, it looks like it's kind of sitting on the ear. So I wonder how the comfort level would be, especially over time, wearing it for a long period of time, how that would feel on your ear. Would you start getting irritated? That's what I would want to see. And did they give us the price point already or not?
So I think we're at a unique moment where both consumers and developers are really ready for something new.
AR and VR are inevitabilities. They will happen.
A precursor to AR, smart glasses have grown in popularity, led by Meta, which partnered with Ray-Ban to launch smart glasses first in 2021.
These things are doing pretty well right now in the market. You can talk to them, you can ask questions about what's happening in front of you, you can ask it to play music, you can make calls with it. They've been very popular. We've worked hard to get latency down, which is how long does it take for the assistant to respond. You want the voice interactions to be really, really close to the way you'd talk to somebody else.
Snap has been tackling similar challenges, first introducing these spectacles in 2016. Now, by the fourth generation, it added some basic AR capabilities, but its latest pair are far more immersive. Augmented reality glasses are a massive leap from smart glasses. They not only project images on their clear display, but they also enable users to control what they see with their eyes and hands.
What's so exciting about spectacles is that it brings us closer to our vision for people using computing together, grounded in the real world with their friends.
The dream of augmented and mixed reality is something tech giants have been pursuing for years. Apple has been focusing on its Vision Pro virtual reality headset, which includes cameras to orient users in their space. But we haven't yet heard from Apple if it plans to introduce glasses. And a number of efforts in this space have struggled. Google was first to market with Google Glass back in 2013. The product was expensive and drew criticism. Now, more than a decade later, this year, it teased a new pair of glasses. Microsoft has also worked on AR for well over a decade, launching its HoloLens headset for enterprise in 2016. Failing to gain traction, Microsoft discontinued it on October 1st. And an early player in AR, Magic Leap, raised more than $2.3 billion from Google, Alibaba, JP Morgan, and others. Recently, it slashed its staff, pivoting from making headsets to partnering with the likes of Google to license its technology. And with that decade of tech giant struggles, the industry is still in the early stages.
So I guess what we're seeing is this is a lot harder than we were made to believe. You know what I mean? We all knew it was going to take some time, but what we're seeing now is that this isn't nearly going to be as easy as we thought it would be. So while they were giving us dates to where we should have them by now, we may be looking at another 5-10 year situation based upon what we're seeing so far. Especially if you look at Apple's rollout, you can tell, yeah, you got a little more time before we actually have these and they're just flying off the shelves.
AR has been around for like 50 years. And we can ignore most of that because in the last 10, 12 years is the commercialized era of it. We're in our adolescence. We see a lot of potential, but we haven't quite reached that potential yet.
This is so crazy.
Oh, nice shot.
Meta's vision is to make its AR glasses as easy to use and as useful as a smartphone.
It's the most advanced pair of glasses ever made. It's lightweight, it's got a really powerful computing in it. They project a holographic display so that you can summon a screen or you can look at your messages, you can watch video, you can have a video chat with somebody.
What has been your intention when working on these augmented reality glasses on this prototype? What are you driving for?
If you think about the history of computing in general, we started with computers in basements. They gradually made their way onto our desktops, and then they've made their way into our pockets and our purses with smartphones. We've been thinking for a while about what's the next thing after the phone. It's probably going to look like a lightweight, attractive, comfortable pair of glasses.
With these AR devices, just like with smart glasses, AI is center stage. How important is AI in building this hardware, and how important is AI in terms of the user interface?
It's essential. I mean, every single piece of what we just talked about requires AI. Computer vision, understanding the world in front of you, speech and natural interface, that's difficult and requires AI.
As Meta continues investing in Orion hardware, its developers are working on creating software and apps to run on it.
We are going to use Orion as a dev kit. We are going to use it mostly internally to build out the software that we need to, but we're also going to work with a handful of partners externally to make sure that we get a diversity of content, so that way, when we have the next version of this hardware, it is going to be ready to be our first consumer full holographic AR glasses.
Meanwhile, Snap wants an ecosystem of experiences and games for its new hardware and operating system, so it's renting glasses to developers for $99 a month.
We've initially focused on our developer community, so there are hundreds of thousands of developers who are already using Lens Studio to build millions of lenses. We've tried to really lower the barrier to folks getting started with this new technology, so they'll get spectacles and Snap support to bring their imagination to life.
Niantic, creator of Pokemon Go, the viral AR smartphone game, has brought a few of its apps over to spectacles.
We chose to work with Snap because they're one of the first companies actually, getting these glasses working.
Snap, their view is more focused, based on their DNA, about the social and the communication aspects of it. You can argue that Meta and Facebook is very similar, but they started looking broader.
AR technology has made huge leaps in the past decade. Meta's earlier prototypes required backpacks and fans to hold and cool computing components.
The technical challenges to make them are insane. They need to be glasses. They're not a headset. No wires. Less than 100 grams. It is an absolutely incredible amount of technology to be able to miniaturize and fit into a pair of glasses and a small puck that goes with it to help power the whole thing.
But for all of that progress, there are still myriad obstacles to building the AR ecosystem to make it worth buying these devices.
There are three issues: content, convenience, and control. Content, what am I going to do with this? Convenience, is it easy for me to get? Is it easy for me to set up? How am I going to interact with this, right? Am I touching things? Am I doing pinch, swipe, zoom? You need all of those things to make it come together.
So with years before these products are sold to consumers, the question is how to justify the massive R&D cost, especially for Snap. We have yet to see augmented reality go mainstream. Why does it make sense to invest so much in this at a time when your stock is down?
I think the reason why we're so convinced that AR glasses are the path forward is because people are getting tired of screens. Glasses are a way to use computing that actually brings us together and keeps us, connected with the real world.
And while Meta's stock has been on a tear, investors are still curious about the payoff of its R&D. Why are you investing so much in this technology, and how will it eventually tie into your business?
We wanted to show the demo to people, just to show what we've been working on. We've been investing for this for a long time just because we are asking the question sort of what comes after the smartphone.
The key to commercializing these new devices is bringing down costs. Meta says it aims to sell its glasses at the price point of a high-end smartphone.
I want to keep working on the design to make it smaller and a bit more fashionable. We need to keep working on the manufacturing to make it a lot more affordable too.
With these prototypes, you got to start with something that is the North Star. Orion is that. And then you find ways to optimize, bring down cost, bring up performance.
The price point depends on the value it delivers. If it can do everything and anything, I would say the price point has to be around the range of a smartphone. If it's single purpose, very purpose-built device that can do kind of one thing, it needs to be much cheaper. I don't think mass market head-mounted display use adoption will happen in the next 15 years.
And there will surely be new players in this space, such as Google and Apple. The tech giants are rumored to be working on their own AR glasses.
The glasses form factor is the mainstream future device that we see, sitting alongside and maybe someday replacing the cell phone. I don't think that's true for these, MR devices like Vision Pro. Apple would probably say it's a stepping stone, that it's a way for them to work on some of this technology and get developers to start, building with some of their APIs before the glasses. But I'm ready to get to the real thing.
Apple's Vision Pro is far from mass adoption, with the company reportedly cutting its forecast for shipments and the IDC saying Apple has sold less than 100,000 units each quarter since launch. So there are big questions about the market for both virtual and augmented reality. In the meantime, while we wait to see if AR glasses attract developers and useful new experiences and then eventually customers, Meta is taking what it's learned from Orion R&D, such as how to shrink components and minimize cost and heat, to improve its Quest VR headsets and its Ray-Ban Meta smart glasses. And at the same time, it's leveraging its advances in AR and AI in its other divisions to accelerate development of Orion.
For now, I think the right way to look at Orion is as a time machine. These glasses exist, they are awesome, and they are a glimpse of a future that I think is going to be pretty